What is going on, everybody? Not wearing it today, but it is Tuesday, so it is time to talk some football. We have got a lot of ground to cover, so we are not going to waste too terribly much time. Uh, First of all, shout out to Saul Rock Cardenas and the End Zone helmet painting. Guys, love you to death. Love the work that you're doing. I may be working on a Green Bay helmet because, man, somebody's going to have to do something for the team, right? So it's going to have to be me, I guess. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm coming to you live. This is a repeat, but it's a goodie, right? Speaking of goodie, coming to you from Sam Goody Studios. Goody got it.
Very nice, very nice. What is up? I am BD, and you know what? Today I'm going to come at you from the Sears studio. The department store that everybody thought would never close. That closed.
It's all because they bought stupid Kmart, man.
Yep.
Ruined the dream. Right? Sears Roebuck and Company. Oh, what's up, Jackie? Good to see you.
Hey, Jackie.
Good to see you, Jackie. That's my bonded and blood sister.
Nope, ain't no paper bag here, man.
No paper bag.
I'll tell you who should be wearing a paper bag is the freaking Dallas Cowboys special teams coach.
Yeah.
After that absolutely disastrous, stupid performance.
I got to ask you, Brian, is that on the responsibility of the coach or is that on the responsibility of the player who should have known if he was going to block that kick, that he was going to then have to scramble and get possession of that ball?
Well, he didn't know. It's about coaching. It's about training. It's about being disciplined as a team. The player, you can't really hate on the player that much. It was like the guy was just signed off of a practice squad. His first action with the team, really. But this is just another issue, another thing in a long line of stupid, undisciplined special teams moves this year. Obviously this one, you have to know as a player, you get that kick's blocked, you don't touch it. You get away. Talking to a buddy of mine today, you kind of go back and watch it, and it's like he started to go for the ball, and then he kind of thought, maybe I shouldn't touch it, and he was like kind of moving and like, I don't know what to do with my hands, and grab the ball.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
but again, it's discipline. It's coaching. You saw it the game against the Commanders. When the Commanders had the onside kick, Dallas recovered it. The guy who recovered it could have kneeled it down. Game over. What did he do? He just ran in and scored a touchdown, which gave Washington another chance to, there was less than a minute left in the game, but it was a mental error. Could have ended the game, gave Washington another chance to potentially come down and win the game. We've seen bad fake punts 2 weeks in a row from the Cowboys, and that supposedly the John Fassel said was on him, maybe on him, on Mike McCarthy, whatever, but it's still special teams. We've seen a pattern of stupid decisions, bad coaching, bad just low football IQ from the special teams as a whole. Thank God we've got Aubrey and Turpin because, without those two guys, I don't know where the hell this team would be, like 1 or 2 wins. But those are the only saving graces of the special teams. And you can't really, put that, that's not a credit to the coaching because those guys are just freakishly talented. So, just undisciplined nature, which we see it constantly across the board for the Cowboys. We've seen it offensively, we've seen it defensively, we've seen it special teams, and it starts at the top with coaching. Obviously, or they're saying Jerry said he's not going to fire McCarthy this season or during the season. Whether he fires him after the season, I think Dak and Parsons came out this week and said, hey, they want to keep McCarthy next year. They like him. They want to run it back, whatever. Although, I don't know if you saw Parsons in the game last night, it was,
Oh yeah.
I think I don't remember the guy's name who tipped the ball, but I'd be surprised if he wasn't shoved in the locker by Parsons at the end of the game. So, it's if McCarthy's not going to get fired during the season, at least John Fassel has to, just because some of the biggest mistakes are on special teams, and it's been a pattern all year long.
I don't disagree. I mean, obviously, I don't follow the Cowboys nearly as closely as you do, but so first and foremost, I know the special teams coordinator is responsible for the mistakes that the special teams make to a certain extent. Yes, because it falls back on coaching and things like that. However, who brought that special teams coordinator in? Like, who does he answer to? Which goes back to McCarthy.
He answers the head coach. Yeah.
Right. So that does fall back, and I hate to keep throwing McCarthy under the bus.
Ultimately, it falls on the coach, and it should. But if they're not going to make a move at the head coaching position during the season, somebody's head has to roll. Like, this is just it's embarrassing at this point. Like, how the hell do we keep losing games by the dumbest ways possible? Like, it's just Cowboys are going to cowboy, but my God, it's ridiculous that it's like, oh, how are we going to lose this game? This week. It's like the way KC keeps winning games is how we keep losing games.
Yeah, it seems like you guys do everything you can in your power to stay in the game until the very end, and then you're like, no, we're done, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't understand that, because it's not like the Cowboys don't have talent on the squad right now, and so I feel really bad for those guys.
They do, and at this point, I'm complaining about the loss, really, but I don't mind it, because we all realized, all Cowboys fans realized after week 2, week 3, this team was not going to go to the Super Bowl. Did not have a chance. And then obviously once Dak went down, like, that was, whatever little sticking up out of the coffin. Hey, might be here. Nope. Last nail down. That's it. So at this point, the more losses we get, it's just a better draft pick. So I'm not upset at the loss. And hell, the Jamar Chase touchdown, the last one to win the game, it sent me to the playoffs in the fantasy league that I'm in. So I was kind of happy when it happened. So, it's just the stupid ways they're winning. Or I'm sorry, the stupid ways that they're losing. Like, I don't mind the losses, but come on now. Like, can we stop being dumb and losing games that way?
Yeah, and again, I don't disagree. But it's almost like they're not going to go out there and just lay down, right? I mean, they're going to go out there. The players are going to play. Yeah. They're going to try and do everything they can to win. But you have to think at some point in time, somebody somewhere has got to say, you know what, guys, go out there and put on a show for, the first half, and then lay down, right? And just,
you can't say that, because then you're actually tanking and you'll end up losing draft picks. But, like, they got to.
Not if people don't know.
Yeah. It gets said in a locker room. I guarantee you somebody's going to know. So,
man, people don't know nothing in no locker room. So, and I get what you're saying.
Especially the Cowboys. I mean, there's so many snitches in that organization.
That's true. Well, I mean, a lot of people hate McGirthy. So,
yeah.
Or if Mike is calling him McDouble, right?
McDouble, yeah.
But yeah, that whole game. I mean, I obviously we had a show last night, so I didn't turn it on until the fourth quarter, and to see the struggle back and forth between two mediocre teams, it was like,
they're
wow.
not even mediocre. They're not even mediocre. And I would, I obviously I missed Horns Forward last night. My wife's work had her Christmas party. It was at a little event place thing. I forget what it was called. A little like it's mini golf thing that they opened up over here in this area, but it's kind of like a Top Golf kind of thing, whatever. Well, they had two huge screens that the game was on outside, so I was kind of catching it when I wasn't, hitting 5 strokes on a par 2. But
Well,
yeah, I mean, whatever.
And that's on a putt course.
Exactly. Well, that's like, well, do you prefer this or Top Golf? I'm like, I mean, Top Golf, I can just go knock the crap out of a ball, and I don't actually have to like really aim for anything. But so I was kind of following the game a little bit, and then once it was over, we came home and I turned it on. And it was probably towards the beginning of the fourth quarter when I did. Now, one thing I missed, and it's a big deal for not really for the Cowboys for this year, and it's probably a blessing for this year, but for next year is Overshown, who had a really bad, nasty injury and ended up tearing his ACL, MCL, and PCL. God. I mean, just like his knee's just gone, and likely he'll be out probably all of next season as well, which is a shame because that kid could play. I loved watching him. He was just one of the guys, flies all over the field. Every play, he's playing with passion, but it was just, it sucks to see that.
Yeah. It does. It really sucks for a player that you see is, kind of really, doing well amongst the mundane, if you will. Yeah. We got a couple of players like that on the Packers squad as well. And they're being overshadowed by, a mundane quarterback. So I get where you're coming from.
Hey, you're not supposed to itch a new tattoo, Jason. All right.
I'm not. I'm messing with the skin above it, the ceiling above it.
Right.
I am because
I'm not.
The tattoo does itch. Sucks, dude. New tattoos suck.
Yeah,
I hate that part. But anyways, I will say this was. And again, not against the top-ranked team or anything like that. Cooper Rush had an okay game.
He did. Yeah, I mean, he's been decent, for the most part. Which that's what Cooper Rush is. He's not ever going to be a lead your team to victory quarterback. Yeah, if you've got a really good defense, if you've got a really good run game that can support him. He's serviceable, which you've seen that in the past when he had to take over for Dak a couple years ago when the Cowboys had a really good run game.
Yeah. But obviously this year, the run game's pretty much non-existent except for Uncle Rico, who actually had
apparently these last few weeks he's been like amazing, but we'll see if it lasts. It's also who they've been playing.
He can throw that football over the mountains, man. I'm telling you.
Right. That's right.
But again, it was an interesting game to see the matchup and everything. Burrow had a hell of a game, got me like 60-something fantasy points. It was insane, and we'll get to that later when we get to our fantasy football updates and everything. But overall, it was a tough game for the Cowboys. I mean, it looked like for sure they had a chance to actually win one. Unfortunately, they do drop this one, and they're now 1-5 at home, which I can't think of a season that has been that bad for them. Yeah. And tickets are still crazy priced, but I mean, again, it is what it is. Right. So Cowboys take another loss. They move on. They're going to be playing Carolina. They may actually get a win, right? Because Carolina's 3-10, and we know all the struggles And
Carolina will probably win. I mean, just
that's better for you guys.
I'm you know what? Again, let's rack up those losses. The only wins I care about are against division opponents. So we can lose every other game, and I'll be fine with that.
Yep. So obviously we want to talk about the Thursday night game because that was my team, and I watched as much of it as I could. I was not able to watch the entire thing. I was really surprised Green Bay was able to hang with Detroit the way that they did, right?
I watched the whole thing, but it was like a week ago, so I don't really remember all of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had a weekend since then, so
exactly.
All that memory is erased. Jordan Love actually wound up with a fairly low statistical game, 12 of 20, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, but no interceptions. Josh Jacobs did not put up an insane amount of yards, but he got 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know, Jordan Love scrambled 4 times for 23 yards himself. And then, of course, I believe it was Wilson is the backup, or not the backup, but he's the number 2 running back. He only got 1 carry, but it looked really strong. I mean, it was 7 yards. And so, I mean, it looked really good. The defense just did not show up this game. And I mean, we've been having.
You're playing the Lions, who are by far the best offensive team this year. So I forget what they average, but I mean, like it wasn't a bad loss. I mean, I'm kind of, good on y'all for staying in as much as you did, because the Lions have damn near rolled over everybody they played.
Yeah, so. And this game we only lost by 3.
Yeah,
we lost by worse the first time we played them. So it's not like the Packers are absolute hot garbage. We've just got some glaring holes that are starting to pop up now on our defense with 2 of our key cornerbacks being injured. We're putting in guys who have relatively little experience and basically asking them to hold on for dear life, and especially against Jared Goff and that whole squad. Their best receiver racked up 80 yards total, but that was on 5 receptions, right? Laporta got 54 off of 5. Patrick got 43 off of 6. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's arguably their best receiver, he got 5 for 43. Now, normally,
they were spreading it out a lot, which is, that's kind of what you'll see a lot, especially from a really good offense. If you've got a couple guys that are, the defense is playing well, Goff is good enough just to find a guy and just kind of spread it out so the defense isn't able to lock down on one guy. And, all the receivers, they're good enough to get open to a spot. So,
right.
I mean, it was a noble effort by you guys. I said, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised, honestly, that y'all didn't get beat by more. So,
yeah. Well, and so, the defense did a pretty good job double covering St. Brown for most of the night, right? Because he's obviously going to draw the most attention. Yeah. And so they were able to do that. But that unfortunately did open up other opportunities for other guys to get some of those open reads and get some yards on us. But overall, not a bad game. Not a horrible loss like I thought was originally going to happen. And so we wind up dropping to 9-4. I know there were a ton of Minnesota fans that were counting on Green Bay to pull off a miracle here to help, Minnesota out. But I'll check that in a bit. The mayor's commenting. So Lumen Field, 38 degrees and moderate rain. But springtime game, no big deal.
Right.
Springtime game in Green Bay. But again, not our night. We wound up losing on essentially a last-second field goal, and you knew Bates was going to drop it. It was a 35-yarder. There was, 3 seconds. Sorry, that was the bulldog. Um, you knew that, there's only a few seconds left on the clock. You knew Bates had it lined up. I mean, it was a 35-yarder, the chip shot for him. Especially in a stadium where he was kicking 60, 65-yarders at 35, he's like, oh, hang on. What? Hold my beer, right? So, but yeah, I was disheartened by the loss, but not by the performance this time, except for the defense. Again, like I said, the defense is our Achilles heel right now, no pun intended. So they've got to figure it out. And I saw a very good article. I can't remember the individual's name, but there's a sports writer that's saying that we need to bring in a veteran that would be extremely cheap. He would be extremely helpful because he's a veteran and because our squad is so young, and it would bolster, what we need for the playoff run. Is it going to get us to the end of the playoffs and into the Super Bowl? Probably not. But at least we're going to have a pretty good.
You're kind of a little late for veteran leadership to kind of lead the team. I mean, what
I don't disagree.
You've got 3 weeks left in the regular season, or 4 weeks. What is it? It's 3 weeks, right? Or
we've got 3 weeks left.
Hold on, no, we got 4.
Or 4. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
because I was looking ahead to this week.
Yeah, so I mean, it's if you've got a hole in your defense or something, yeah, you can bring a veteran guy in. But if you're looking to kind of bring someone in to change like a culture or lead team like that, it's a little late. So.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. Elsewhere around the league, we know obviously the Vikings stomped the Falcons, right? 42-21. Wasn't even really a question that they were going to win that game.
Yeah. Atlanta tried to keep it close for the first half. I think that second half, Minnesota just took it to them, and Falcons just kind of fell apart.
Yeah,
that was an interesting game. I watched a lot of that one. Saints Giants was a game that you would expect from the Saints and the Giants, but the Giants lost the game on a blocked field goal at the end of the game. How many times have we seen that this season? I've never looked up the stats for blocked field goals to win a game, but I think we've had at least 5 of them this season, which is more than I remember here. I know you guys had one.
I think we had 2.
Had one. You might have had 2. The Chiefs had one. Chiefs may have had 2 of them, maybe just one. I know against the Denver they did, but it seems like there's a lot of blocked field goals, especially last second, that would win the game. And I don't know if you saw the block that the Saints had, but they had their 300-pound linemen jump completely over the offensive line, didn't touch anybody. I mean, you got to go watch it. It was actually one of the most impressive things I've seen a lineman do. This dude jumped up probably 3 or 4 feet over the lineman, didn't touch him at all because it would have been a penalty if he did, and ran over and blocked the field goal.
Wow.
So look it up and see, because you see a big boy jump like that, and holy hell.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. Mr. Mayor, I don't think so. I think Green Bay is going to pull this one off. We're used to cold, rainy conditions. We're used to the snow. Weather's not going to be a factor. I think after losing to Detroit, I think the engines have been stoked. I think they're going to come out with a lot to prove. So I think it's not going to bode well for the Seattle Sea Chickens. Elsewhere around the league,
I mean, weather doesn't bother Green Bay at all. So
no.
They're gonna care about 38 and rainy. Ugh.
Yeah. Elsewhere around the league, no. I'm not even going to engage on that one. Elsewhere around the league, I'm really surprised, but the Eagles barely beat the Panthers 16-22. Now, for a 10-2 team going into that game against a 3-9 team, that score should have been way higher. And I didn't watch it, so I don't know exactly how it all worked out. But you would think that that score would have been much higher by, who arguably is being predicted to go very deep into the playoffs, if not into the Super Bowl already.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm definitely going to need to go back and watch that game and look into it and try and find out what happened. Tale of two cities here, right? Jaguars Titans, exactly what you expected to be without Trevor Lawrence. That wound up being 10-6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even with Trevor Lawrence this season, that's exactly what you expect from a Jags and Titans game.
Well, no, you would expect a little bit more points on the board from Jacksonville.
You're right. You're right. Maybe like 13-6.
13, 16-6, something like that.
Yeah.
But obviously very low scoring game, and I'm sure it was very not that much fun to watch, right?
I did not watch a second of that game. I don't even know if I saw highlights of that game because there probably weren't any.
Right. What I did watch,
the game that was really impressive was the Bills and Rams. That was a fun game to watch. I don't know how much you saw of it, but I watched the whole thing.
Watched it.
And it was such a fun back and forth game. The Rams jumped out to a big lead, and the Bills kind of fought back, and you kind of thought at the end there that they were gonna pull it out, but
Josh Allen said, "Nope, not on my watch."
Well, no, Josh Allen lost.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Rams won.
My bad.
Matthew Stafford said, "Nope, not on my watch."
Matthew Stafford. There you go. Yeah, I'm remembering the fantasy points he got me.
Yes, yeah, you know what? Me too.
So the team lost, but I won.
Exactly, exactly. Three passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns.
And that's, I don't know what the stats are, but that's got to be some kind of a record.
So he's the first regular season quarterback to do that ever. He's the second quarterback to do it all time. Like they didn't say who it was, but another quarterback has done it in the playoffs. So there's been 2 quarterbacks all time to do that, playoff and regular season. Josh Allen was the first regular season quarterback to do it. Yeah, it was such a good game. And I saw an absolute crazy stat. And I might be off by a couple here, but it was O.J. Simpson had 81 rushing touchdowns in his career. Terrell Davis has 80 rushing touchdowns in his career. Josh Allen has 82.
Good Lord.
2 Hall of Fame running backs, and Josh Allen has more rushing touchdowns than both of them.
Yep.
To add to his passing numbers. Absolutely insane stat.
Yeah. Okay. So that brings me to a good transition. I know it's a little bit early, but maybe we need to be talking about MVP stuff because we've only got a couple of weeks left. I mean, we basically got a month left of football, and then it's playoff time. So that being the case, who are we thinking for the MVP for the NFL this year?
I think we just talked about him, especially after these last 2 weeks. I think Josh Allen right now is the front runner by a pretty wide margin. I think Goff and Saquon Barkley are behind him, but I think they're pretty far distance behind them. Allen has to absolutely lay an egg these last few games, or he wins it. It's just right now, like Vikings Wax Press said, right now it's no contest. Josh Allen by far is the leader for MVP.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So if you pop over to Bleacher Reports, they've got a nice little article about it, and it's Josh Allen minus 400 odds, right? I find this stat very, very disturbing. You bet $400 to win $100.
Yep.
That's horrible. Uh, that sounds like a Cowboys kind of move, you know. The next runner up would be Saquon Barkley at plus 450, and then Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson at plus 1,000. Mahomes rounds out the top 5 at plus 4,000. So it's not.
I can't believe Mahomes is in there. I know the team is what are they, 12-1, but they're not winning impressively. So I don't think Mahomes has any place being there.
I don't disagree with you. The only thing that I can think of that keeps Mahomes in the conversation is just how they managed to keep winning somehow. Now there's speculation about, how they're getting assistance there and all these other different things. I'm not going to go into all those conspiracies.
It's luck. At this point, it's no other thing than luck. Like, how the hell do you win off of a doinked in field goal? It's just every single game, it's something, it's just, I don't know. You can't bet against luck. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there's no way to predict things like that happening, but somehow they got the luck of the Irish. They've got rabbit's feet, voodoo dolls. I mean, I don't know. They've got something, but it's working, and they keep rolling and keep rolling and keep rolling. Do they? That's interesting. Who gets the comeback player of the year, Donald or Barkley? And I'm assuming Mike G is saying that Barkley would get his vote. I don't disagree with that. I mean, Saquon has had a pretty tremendous year.
If I'm picking between both of those, I would pick Sam Darnold because he was basically left for dead, in a quarterback room. He was brought on just to be the backup. It was like they were kind of done with him. He just needed a spot to fill and ended up having a phenomenal year. Everybody knows how good Barkley is. He just, different situation, whatever. But, who I think should get comeback player of the year, Russell Wilson is a good choice.
That actually is.
I think it was a lot of people – or not a lot because he didn't win it last year, but people thought he should have won it last year. Damar Hamlin, the guy who basically died on the field 2 years ago. I know he played a little bit last year, but he only played like 5 snaps in like 3 games last year, whatever. It was very, very low. He's played, I think, damn near every game, and he has been a major factor. And if that's not an amazing comeback story of you're basically dead on the field almost, like transported to the hospital and all that, to being a major factor on the team, like that's an amazing comeback story. So honestly, Damar Hamlin right now gets my vote for that, just because of him being able to come in and play all year long and be make as much of an impact to the team as he has.
I mean, you make a good point. I don't want to say that I'm not going to say you're wrong on that. But I think as far as players go that were essentially left for dead, that have come back and made a huge difference. I mean, there's a big argument to be made for Dangerous, right? He was traded to the Steelers here, from the Broncos, here, just take our trash and whatever. And then, as luck would have it, he wound up coming back to the old Russell Wilson that we know, and he's now made the Steelers relevant. And had it not been for him, I don't think they would even be in the conversation.
Which, I mean, you say make the Steelers relevant. They've never had a losing season since Mike Tomlin's been their coach. But they're now a contender. They're not just Oh yeah, we're a 500 team, or we're one over 500. Like they're a legit contender, and because of Russell Wilson. And
Yeah.
remember, he didn't start the season because he was injured, and
Mhm.
there was a big talk for the first few weeks of the season whether Justin Fields should stay as the starting quarterback
Yep.
when Russ came back. It was kind of a coin flip who was going to get the starting nod,
Yep.
which was crazy because Justin Fields sucks and Russell Wilson used to be really good. Obviously not with Denver, but you know, obviously it played out like it should have. Russell Wilson is by far, the better quarterback between the two. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if he gets it, then yeah, it's definitely. I don't think there's any bad choices
No, that's the
between
problem.
those. You know,
Yeah, there's
like
no,
it's it's not oh well, yeah, people are gonna be mad, but you can't argue against this guy. Yeah, you can say, man, Darnold was just a bum that they threw on the roster. You know what? So was Russell Wilson. Damar Hamlin died on the field.
Mhm.
Saquon was kind of we'll maybe hopefully a change of scenery would be good for him. Like they're all good choices, so you can't
Yeah,
be mad whoever gets it.
right. There would be one bad choice, and that would be Dak for MVP. That would be a bad choice.
He finished second last year, but
Not this year. Not this year.
no.
Anyways, yeah. There's going to be some really good games this next weekend. Looking over the schedule, you've got Buffalo taking on Detroit. That's going to be a phenomenal game to watch. Pittsburgh and
That's
Philadelphia.
kind of the one. That's one of the games I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Yeah. Pittsburgh and Philly are playing. That's going to be an interesting game. Green Bay and Seattle should be an okay game. The
I think
one
that'll be a good game. Those are
yeah,
two solid teams. And
we'll see. We'll see. Um, and then nobody's going to seem to care too much about this because it's going to be pretty much expected that Minnesota is just going to tear through Chicago.
but it's a
Nobody's
division game,
surprised.
so it's.
I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago pulled something out.
I'd be
And
surprised if they won, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a one score victory. And then you've got the Thursday night game is you've got another division game, the Rams and 49ers. 49ers have looked off, and McCaffrey's done for the season, but they're still a tough team. So
yeah,
I think they're still trying to find a playoff spot. And once again, division games are always real tough.
yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to watch too much football live, because I actually will be at a game this weekend. I'm going to be in Houston for the Texans and Dolphins game.
You need to go talk and hang out with Rig if you're going over there.
Yep, I've already talked to him.
Okay.
We're gonna try and maybe catch up in the game, but
You can do me a favor when you're over there too. Because Rig has something that I need to get from him.
oh yes,
I'm trying to figure out how I can get to Houston and get it. And so I can Venmo you some cash and you can pick that up for me and bring it back. Problem solved. Man, you're my boy, Brian. You're my boy.
no. So like Jackie was so. This is, obviously the Dolphins are my wife's favorite team. And so for her birthday, I got her tickets to go see them. She got me tickets to go see the Cowboys last year. So,
She does know Marino's not playing there anymore, right?
well, she wasn't a fan of when Marino played. She's only been a fan for like 2 years. So,
Oh, well, that doesn't count then.
hey, I got her watching football. So, you know what? It's
That's
a start.
true. That's true.
I got her into football.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, where was that stupid did the Texans? Yeah, Texans had a bye last week. So that's good. I'm hoping things are gonna kind of straighten out there. Anniversary in DC next year. Let's go.
Yep.
Yep. Fingers crossed. Let's go. Um, we'll see how Houston does against Miami. Um, I'm a little I'm cautiously optimistic for the Texans because with the performance they put on last year, it was expected that they were going to do so much better this year,
Yeah.
and they stumbled, right? And they've stumbled a couple of times. Real quick though, back to the Justin Fields thing. I forgot to throw this in earlier. Yeah, Justin Fields has shown why he's not the quarterback in Chicago, but I was so hoping that he was going to have a rejuvenated career just to stick the screws to Chicago, and that didn't happen. So Chicago got away with another one.
I mean,
So,
but they've got Justin Fields 2.0, so
yeah, but he might actually do something.
he might, maybe. I don't know. What one day he's a rookie, so
Yeah.
but one day he's like, this kid might be all right, and the other day was like,
damn it,
what is he even doing? On a roster at all?
Yeah, it's rough. Speaking of rough though, your roast wasn't nearly as rough of the Cowboys like you said it was going to be. So I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself by roasting the University of Texas. Let's switch to college.
You mean the team that played the bottom of the barrel in the SEC didn't win a game against a single ranked team all season long? Went in, played snuck into the championship game of the SEC because they played the bottom of the barrel of the entire conference. Like the absolute easiest schedule you can have of the conference. They had it. You get the starting quarterback of the team injured on the last play of the first half. So you go in there, you play a backup quarterback, play against a backup quarterback for the entire second half, and you still lose the game. You suck, Texas. Absolutely.
Didn't Texas beat A&M though?
They did, but we didn't end up ranked. So,
I mean, I'm just saying though, right? So, you were ranked before that.
We were ranked before that, but we didn't end the season ranked, which I will contend we probably should have been, because all of our losses except for one ended up being to top 15 teams. The only loss was Auburn, but Alabama loses to two unranked teams, and they're still in contention for college football playoff spot. So, should A&M have been ranked? Probably so. I mean, 24th, 25th, whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but I still think they should have been on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree or disagree with you. The playoffs are now set.
And like XFLMIG here said, yeah, knock the backup out, which was another call that should have been targeting that they took back. Again, I don't know what refs the Texas is paying off, but they took one back against A&M that absolutely should have been a targeting, led with the helmet, and they took this one back, which was another launched helmet to helmet hit. Apparently when Texas plays, the officials don't know what targeting is, because I've seen way less called every single week of college football.
Yeah. Van makes an interesting comment here, and I'm going to have to look this up because I hadn't heard this yet. But a wide receiver from Texas has already jumped into the transfer protocol to leave Texas. That's not ever a good sign.
I mean, who knows who it is? It might be, like the fifth or sixth on the depth chart. It's going to happen. It happens every year. The guys who think they should be getting more playing time are going to maybe go to a program where they can get that playing time. And I mean, that's kind of what the transfer portal is for. I know it's been, overused a lot these last few years, especially with the NIL deals and stuff. And it's been, highly talked about topic of, it doesn't need to change and stuff like that. I think it's fine for, these players who, hey, I'm not playing like I think I should, or I'm going to go to this other program where I can get better, if I play more. Kind of like, we talked about last week, Connor Wegman, who was the starting quarterback for A&M, ended up being the backup because Reed took off. He entered the transfer portal, and I don't really blame him just because he lost the starting job to a guy who's younger than him. So he basically, unless Reed gets hurt, Wegman's just going to be a backup for the rest of his collegiate career. So hey, go someplace where you can play. He's a 5-star recruit. So
Yeah.
and I think A&M picked up another quarterback. I forget where it was from, but from the transfer portal. I think he's a senior, but he's not a guy that's expecting to start. It's just he's kind of going to be a backup voice. So, hey, whatever. These kids are looking for places where they can play. So, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So, when the playoffs do start, you've got number 8 Ohio State taking on number 9 Tennessee, number 5 Texas taking on number 12 Clemson. You've got Penn State playing SMU, and then Notre Dame playing Indiana, I believe it is. Wow, Rankin, you're special. Hey, I think you've got a friend request on MySpace. Go check that out, bud. And then, anyways, the winners of those move on to number 1 Oregon or God, I can't remember that one. Number 3 Boise State is one of them. Georgia, and then I think it's Arizona.
Arizona State is number 4. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's going to be some really interesting games when the playoffs do start. Now, is that this weekend that they start?
No, they start next weekend.
Next weekend,
the 21st.
Okay.
The 20th is the first game. Indiana and Notre Dame.
Okay. So obviously you guys know I'm a UTSA supporter. UTSA actually made a bowl game. Is it anything of any super significance? Kind of.
It's not a major bowl, but honestly, the season that you guys have had, how many weeks until you got your first win? Or y'all, the first month of the season was pretty rough for you guys. So the fact that you made a bowl at all is really, it was a great turnaround to the season the way it started.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna bring it up real quick. Week 1, you obviously had a win, but then 2 and 3 had losses. 1 to Texas State, 1 to Texas. Had a win against Houston Christian, and then another 2 losses, and then a win, a loss, win, and then that loss against Army. Which again, Army was a solid.
It was Army. Who was undefeated for most of the season. So the fact that y'all were in that game, like I said, y'all finished the season strong. So
we finished out pretty decent. So UTSA will be playing against Coastal Carolina in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and that's the 5th straight bowl game that UTSA has appeared in, 6th overall, and that's in a 10-year program. So not bad. It's not necessarily where we want to be. But it's still a bowl game. It still looks really good. And Jeff Traylor, is doing a phenomenal job with that program. So I'm definitely going to be trying to catch that game. Meanwhile, you flip over to Incarnate Word, and Incarnate Word in the FCS Championship quarterfinals will be taking on the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. That should be an interesting game to watch this weekend because both teams are 11-2. Both teams are pretty evenly matched. UIW is being picked as the favorite, but it's I mean, it should be a pretty good game. So, if you guys are into the FCS teams, this is probably a game you're going to want to watch. Meanwhile, the Texas State Bobcats will be in the First Responder Bowl on January 3rd, which is an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah.
I mean, they've worked hard this year and earned it.
That's one of the things that I think if you're going to make a bowl game, you want to be in one of the New Year's bowl games. Those are the better ones. So really, I mean, good on Texas State for making a New Year bowl game.
Yeah. So they'll be playing the North Texas Mean Green. Should be a pretty good game, right? So a lot of the San Antonio colleges and universities in the area, I should say universities, not colleges, because then it sounds like San Antonio College, and they couldn't even organize a march correctly. So there's no way they'd organize a football team. But we've got 3 local teams that are in 3 either playoffs or bowl games. So pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And A&M, they're playing in the Vegas Bowl, and I'm looking forward to the game because we're playing USC. So it's gonna be a good game. I'm really looking forward to it. And then I don't know if you saw the Alamo Bowl.
I did.
So anybody who hasn't heard, but I'm sure most of you have, BYU and Colorado are going to be in San Antonio for the Alamo Bowl. That's going to be a pretty interesting game, and I imagine it's going to be pretty hard to get tickets or pretty costly to get tickets. I know they've already kind of doubled in price since the teams were announced. I mean, Colorado, love them, hate them. They bring a show, and they bring a lot of cameras, a lot of spectators. Really, I mean, it's a great for the city. The Alamo Bowl's always been one of the better bowl games. And it's always been fun to watch. But this is it's gonna be one of the highest probably watched Alamo Bowls we've had just because of Colorado.
Oh yeah, I remember years and years ago I got to go to one of the Alamo Bowl games, and it was because Wisconsin was in it, and phenomenal experience. Right, it was 60,000 strong, nice and loud, absolutely crazy. I think if memory serves correctly, I think Wisconsin won that one. But that's nothing. That's going to pale in comparison to this game. That Alamo Dome is going to be absolutely packed.
I went to the one, it was, maybe 10 years ago. It was the TCU game. The one where it was a long time ago, but I think it was TCU. They were down big and they had a massive comeback. But it was one of the really good Alamo Bowls. But I went to that one. That was fun.
Yeah, the Alamo Bowl never fails to be exciting and bring in a strong crowd. So as Mike G said, right, our co-host DJ on Horns Forward podcast absolutely loves Deion Sanders, and chances are he probably will be at that Alamo Bowl.
He's looking for tickets, so
yeah. That one, yeah. So we're coming up towards the end of the show. I think it would be a crime if we didn't give our fantasy football updates. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Brian, how did you do?
So I went 3-1 this week. So 3 of my leagues, this was the final game of the regular season. One other league, our regular season ends this coming weekend. I'm not going to make the playoffs in that league because it's a 14 playoff, so it's only plays the 2 weeks. I'm not going to make the playoffs in that week unless the guy in front of me loses and I somehow outscore him by 220 points. So pretty good chance I'm not making the playoffs in that one. In our league with AFN league with XFL Mike G. I missed the playoffs in that one by points, by quite a few points. I think like 200 or something. My other two leagues I made the playoffs in. One of the leagues was I've been probably second to last almost all season, and then the last few weeks I've kind of made a push. I think I won probably 4 or 5 in a row, maybe in that one, to actually make it in the playoffs. I snuck in, and then in our league, our other league, that's the one I actually lost that game, but because Jamar Chase scored that touchdown, the guy who was going to beat me to make the playoffs, he lost his game. So I was able to back into the playoffs in that league. So you know what?
Nice.
Out of the 4 leagues, I'm in 2 playoffs. So
Not bad.
you know,
So
and I'm riding a hot streak on them. So
yeah. So loved Royce's comment. We just played this last weekend, and so 2 mistakes on my part. I left Pickens in because I didn't get the update that he was out. So I left Pickens in, and then I had Arizona defense, which cost me 4 points. Yeah.
At least it was the Buffalo defense in our other league that got that guy -8 points.
Yes.
I've never seen that before for a defensive score. Holy hell.
That was insane. But so Royce beat me by 5 points essentially. And had I pulled Pickens and put anybody in, I could have come from behind and won that one too. But either way, I'm in the playoffs in all 3 of my leagues, and this is phenomenal considering that I pretty much auto-drafted all of my teams. In fact, I'm in first place. So I'm probably going to get hopefully a first round bye. Oh yeah, right there. Royce didn't start Darnold either. He would have just killed me with Darnold. But that's the joy of fantasy football, right? You never know what is actually going to happen until it happens. But yeah, so it looks like what is our let me look at the playoff bracket. Yeah, I'll be taking on Royce again this next week. Hopefully we can sneak into that final round and see what happens there. I doubt I'm going to get lucky twice, but I mean, you never know. Considering that, all the stats, all the experts, the ratings on my drafts were just so poor, and I was predicted to come in pretty much last or second to last, and here I am riding this wave. So I'll take it, man. It's been a phenomenal season, and more importantly, though, right, because of the AFN League, we met a bunch of new people, bunch of new friends, and had an absolute blast doing it. So Mike G, thank you for putting that all together. It's been a phenomenal experience. This is probably one of the better seasons, not even counting the season record, just one of the better seasons that I've had in fantasy football.
Yeah, it's been fun. So
yeah, true. If the Vikings lose, I win no matter what. So, and then Mike G, yep, win to get in and get smoked.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been a very fun season. So, there you go, Mike. Everybody's saying you're doing a good job, man. So, with that in mind, again, tons of good football to watch this weekend. There's at least 4 or 5 games that are going to be a lot of fun to watch as a fan. I'm obviously hoping for a nice good showing from our defense in Seattle. I think our offense will take care of business. We'll see. BD, I know you're hoping for a Dallas loss and a Dallas win somehow, right?
I'm just hoping to like not get embarrassed, just not do something. If we lose, I don't care. Like I really, yeah, it's a better draft pick. Let's lose to Carolina. That's fine. Just let's not do something that's going to be played over freaking Sports Center for the next week. It's like, hey, look at this dumbass play that this stupid team just did.
Yeah. That being the case, on Van's post, I think we probably need to remind everybody, make sure that you're watching the socials. For those that maybe don't know, there is a Brahma tree at the shops at La Quinteta, and there will be an event this weekend, and there will be an event next weekend, right before Christmas. And weather permitting, there should be some pretty good events. I believe there's going to be some special guests there. A certain person that is white haired and bowl full of jelly and very jolly, and it's probably not Santa Claus. So, but I can't say anything because I don't know. This is just what I've heard. You really need to watch the social medias. I believe that post should have come out today. If not, it'll come out tomorrow. But you're going to want to, if you're in that area, you're going to want to stop by and say hi to everybody. I believe the one this weekend, I will probably be at with Jackie. BD, I don't know. Are you going to be there?
It depends on what time. Like I said, we're going to Houston for the game. Not sure if we're going up Saturday and stay, or if we're just driving up Sunday and making a day trip. So depends on the time, depends on what we're doing.
Okay. What is this right here? Nice. There you go. So there's Canadian football countdown after our show. So again, we're in a great time, folks. We've got football year round now. There's not really much to announce necessarily with the UFL. Arena football has been relatively quiet, but things are going to be ramping up probably after the first of the year. Yep. We know there's been a lot of noise made by the San Antonio Gunslingers in the off season, so you're going to definitely want to keep an eye on them. Corpus Christi has a new home. You've got two teams, two Texas teams in the NAL, and Corpus being over in that AF1. Man, there should be some noise being made here in Texas about some football. So, guys, with that being said, I think it's about time we go ahead and sign off. I believe we're probably BD and I have not sat down and worked out the schedule, but we probably need to. We're going to need to take a couple of weeks off.
Yeah.
That way, that episode 100 does hit on playoff weekend, or not playoff weekend, but UFL opening weekend. And we may even
we're gonna have to take a whole lot of time off for that, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're episode 91, 4 episodes in a month. Yeah. That's 8, 2.5 months. That puts us in middle of February, end of February, and the season starts March 31st. So
we got to take a month and a half off. I don't know, but that's gonna happen. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do our show the week right before, right? But we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, guys, shout out to everybody. First and foremost, XFL Mike G and the Alternative Football Network. Thank you guys so much for everything you do to help us out. To our new friends, Royce and Brahma Bulletin and the Brahma Bullpen, and just everybody that helps us with information. Our friends over at Pro Arena Talk, and Bobby Otten with all the arena news that he gets us, and you guys, the fans, can't say thank you enough. You guys are the reason why we're here making this happen. We'd be really lonely without you. It'd just be two clowns on the internet. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all. We'll let you know what our schedule is going to look like on Facebook page and probably on X and everything. And we may even pop up some polls for you guys to discuss things like the NFL MVPs.
Yeah, different NFL awards. We talked about the Heisman last week. Probably put a poll up for that. See what you guys think. So just keep an eye out to our Facebook page and stuff. See some polls, vote on them. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. So Guys, again, thank you so much. Have a great night. We'll catch you soon. All right.
See you
Horns
guys.
forward. Go Pack Go. Birds up. See you guys.
Go Cowboys!